Hey all, my name is Kurt. Here's Trenton. Welcome to SLB Basement Bourbon Bar. And Trenton, we have an empty bar top. So
not anymore. We're not drinking this episode. No, and it felt wrong.
Yeah.
So I felt that I needed to put up something up here. I'm drinking a New Riff malted rye. Ryes are my go-to. That, unfortunately, is a Scotch.
Yeah, and
I smelled it. It was rough.
That's the best I can get out of them. That's a brand new Scotch. This is my first pour. Adnamerkin.
And that is
a brand new Adnamerkin bottle, and I am super stoked to try it.
Your first pour, and it looks like a heavy one.
Yeah, your mom mentioned it was a little heavy. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't mean to, but that'll be the only thing I have tonight. It'll be fine.
Okay,
that'll be all right.
That's fine.
Anyways, we're gonna get back to roughly. We discussed last week everything you need to know about bourbon because we have plenty of new subscribers, and we're just so grateful and thankful for that. I mean, shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of shocking to me.
The growth is just insane. So thank you to everybody.
Just out of this world. So, and we have a lot of people that are just starting. We had a lot of people in different stages of their journey. So we thought that video would be helpful. So today we want to follow suit with something else we think would be helpful as well. I read every single comment. I can guarantee you that. I answer to the best of my ability the most questions that are on there. Trenton sees them once in a while, but his main thing is the email and the business side of things. I try to take care of the Facebook, Instagram comments. Easy stuff old guys can handle without too much
heck of a job.
Without too much technology. But from the comments, we got a lot of new people, like I said, and these are questions that are getting asked over and over and over again. And rightfully so. I mean, a lot of folks haven't been with us for quite some time, like a lot of you others have. So let's go over some of these most asked questions and see if we can do our best to answer them.
Let's do it.
Everybody might not agree with us, but there are opinions, and everybody has one.
Yeah,
we got one too. You're gonna die on this one. Probably the question that I have the most. Who are you? Do I know you? Are we related?
That gets asked a lot.
A lot of times in the comments, honestly, it's, you and the young guy.
Well, at least I'm young. I thought this haircut was aging me a little bit with this hairline.
Actually, it might be a little bit.
Well, have you gotten those comments after I got a haircut?
I don't know. It's always
good.
It's always either the older guy and the young guy, or you and the young guy.
Okay.
But to set the record straight, Trenton is my son. So we are related. My wife and I have been married over years, quite a few years. 16, right, honey?
I was going to say 16.
Right?
17.
No, 14.
14? 15?
Yeah, we need to move on with the video.
Those teenage years are rough.
We've been together a long time. We have 5 kids between us. So Trenton is my son. He's not the youngest. Second to the youngest? There we go.
Yep.
At least I got that right. You should be up here with us here on this video, honey. So, we are related, and we just have a good time with this. So this is something we do together, and it works, and it's a good time.
We're going to keep on trucking.
Yeah. Next question. All right, get more towards the serious side, Trenton. A lot of people ask, what do we do with our leftover bourbon in the Glencairn glasses when we're done with blind tastings or tastings in general? What do we do with that bourbon? A lot of people say, do we drink it all?
No. There's a lot in those videos, so that is a good question.
No, absolutely not. I take everything that's left over from our videos and I put it into an infinity bottle. Here's an example here. Right now, believe it or not, I'm using an empty Blanton's bottle that I had, and we're almost
that's
to
not
the top.
actually that's not actually Blanton's then.
No, it is not. That's an infinity bottle from our shows. So what I do is I don't write down how many ounces or anything else goes in, but I do write down every single bourbon whiskey that goes into that infinity bottle. And starting this year, kind of a perk for our patrons, we're going to have a draw for whoever wants that infinity bottle, and I will send that to them for free. So that's what we do. I have been giving them away for free in general to Corey or my other son or whoever, you know what I mean? But starting next year for our patrons, we're going to have a drawing, and whoever is interested in the infinity bottle from the shows will be getting that bottle.
And those turn out surprisingly well.
They're really
especially good. Like you said, you don't write down what's in them, so it's kind of just like you're drinking a mishmash of 40, 50 different pours we've had over the last couple months.
I know.
But they turn out really nice, I will say.
I know.
which
Really,
is
really
surprising.
nice.
I thought it was going to be kind of gross.
No,
To be honest.
no. A couple of them, the one I gave Jay Hoots the other day was delicious.
That was good.
Jay and
I did try
Kevin,
that.
both bottles
Yeah.
I gave them were very, very good. So, very nice. All right, moving on from there. Let's discuss neck pours.
Ooh, what a controversial
Neck
topic.
pour.
You're getting into the weeds with this one.
And or does a bourbon open up with time? That's a question I get a lot. There's varying opinions. You know, even with other YouTubers, there's varying opinions. But hey, we got one too. I do. I don't even know what your opinion on this is, to tell you the truth.
Well,
We've never even talked about it.
We did a pick at Old Elk. This was last June or June or something for our Patreon group, and we just got it 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I opened the bottle, and this has been sitting in the bottle for I don't even know how long, a couple months maybe. And poured it, tried it, and I didn't let it air out. This was the neck pour. I didn't let it air out or anything. And I tried it, and I was like, this tastes nothing like it did when we picked it. So let it sit out for another 15, 20 minutes, and it started to get back to those flavors which was the reason that we picked it for. Mm-hmm. So I think that the neck pour is a real thing. I think it's I think a neck pour is a bit spicier. I don't think that the flavors have necessarily matured as much as they will in 15, 20 minutes. You let it open up. Mm-hmm. And even like giving a bottle a couple months. I think didn't we do a video on that? We tried bourbons that we didn't. Oh no, it was the bourbons we regret buying and to see if they got better over time. Better. And I think 1 or 2 did.
Yeah. Some didn't, unfortunately. But yeah, I think one or two
one got worse.
A little bit. Well, for me personally, I agree with Trenton. I think the neck pour is a thing, and I know others don't, and that's okay. We're not here to argue. We're just here to give you our point. I do believe it's spicier, and I do believe bottles open up differently. Oh yeah. And the case in point for me, when we did the bottle and bond competition, and I remember telling you, we did the bottle and bond competition. We had the old granddad bottle and bond, and I swear to you, there was a really nice, fine butterscotch note in that bottle. But I had that bottle for quite some time, and there was probably about this much left on the bottom, and it really opened up beautifully. I've never found that note in any other old granddad bottle. The one I've got back there, I keep going back to it just to see if I can find it. But I think that one in particular just opened up very nicely in that way. And as a lot of you folks have told me, a lot of them say when we taste something we don't like, that was one you just opened. Let it sit out, let it open up a little bit, and come back to it in a month or so and see how And I agree with that. Yeah, wholeheartedly.
I do too.
I really do too. So, anyways, let's move on from there.
I actually have one that I didn't tell you about.
Well, feel free. Let's bring it up.
This is one that you've kind of talked about, and I've seen, or like in live stream comments. Where are we? Because it's like when we talk about bottles that we get for certain costs, right. A lot of these are like, where are you getting these prices from? Yeah. We're in Northwest Indiana. We're about an hour from Chicago. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these prices are seemingly, from what I've read, a lot better than different markets. Like Pennsylvania seems to be a pretty tough market, and a couple others like state-controlled states seem to be kind of a rough market. And another one is just like, where do we get some of the bottles that we review? Like we do review some allocated bottles here and there, mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just, and keep in mind, Indiana is not state-controlled. So it might be a little different if you're watching this from like Pennsylvania or Ohio or South Carolina or one of those states, but having a good relationship with your store owners is essential. I think if you're looking to get good stuff, if you go into a liquor store, talk to the owner, try and be a little bit personable. I mean, like, they're people too. We've made great friends with a lot of the store owners we have in our area over the last couple of years, and those relationships have been awesome. We have Harry from B Liquors down here for our live shows. I go out to dinner with them every now and then. Like it's a lot more than just walking into a liquor store, mm-hmm. asking where the Blanton's is, and if they don't have it, just leaving. Yeah. Buy some different bottles. Look into different categories of spirits like liqueurs, wines, bourbons, beers. Whatever. That's
a big one, because if you're going in every 3 days a week and you just ask, could you have this bourbon? Do you have that bourbon? They're going to get sick of you. If you're going there for all of your other needs as well. If you're a wine drinker, if your wife drinks wine, whatever the case may be, and you're also purchasing other things in his store, you're going to become a regular customer.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. It takes a long, especially with the the bourbon boom, as I guess I'll call it. A lot of people are just getting into it. A lot of people want to get the good allocated stuff. So I've seen guys come into liquor stores and say, hey, do you have Weller Full Proof or do you have Pappy? And it's like May. Pappy doesn't come out until kind of right now. So do a little bit of research, find out what the good prices are. Depending on what market you're in, it might vary. And just go into the liquor store and make friends with the owners. That's super important.
Yeah, good point. All right, next one I have on the list, Trent, and I get all of the time, does whiskey go bad?
Ooh, that's a good one. We haven't talked about this either.
No, we haven't, and I try to answer those to the best of my ability, and all I can speak for is myself and my experience. That's all. Somebody else may have a different experience, but for me, we have a lot of bottles down here. There's a couple.
Yep.
So it's impossible to drink them all. So I share them all without question. So there are bottles that have been on my shelf easily
since you started.
3 years or so. So here's what I got for you. Here's just a few small tips. Whatever you do, never put your bottle of whiskey in an area where it's going to receive direct sunlight.
That's a good, yeah.
Put it in a dark area. Of course, we are actually in the basement of my home. So there is no direct lighting here. There's no direct sunlight in here. Keep it in a cool place, a cool, dry place, not in direct sunlight. Big one there. All right. Now, does whiskey go bad? For me, Trent, honestly, I cannot, and I don't have an extremely trained palate, but
yeah, you do.
I mean, I'm not Fred Minnick, you know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not that. That's for darn sure. But here's the thing: I can get a bottle down quite a ways without telling a difference at all. Now, could there be extreme slight difference? Maybe. I can't tell it.
Yeah.
When I can tell it, what I will tell you this. Should I have an example?
This one?
That's a good one, yeah. We'll do this. When I get a bottle, Old Forester 100 we use a lot, cocktails and everything too, so I'm not worried about this. It's been open long. But if I get a bottle that's been sitting on the shelf that gets down here at the very bottom, once it gets down there in the very bottom, and I've had a bottle on the shelf for several years, I then can start telling a difference. I can. So a good rule of thumb is there's too much air in that bottle. So what I have here, this is the remainder of my 2018 Stag, the only one I've ever had. So it was getting towards the bottom. So what I did is I just transferred this into a smaller bottle, so there isn't nearly as much air in there. So it'll try to maintain its credibility and its what I'm trying to say.
Flavor profile.
Yeah. Yes.
Characteristics.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you for that. So try to keep its characteristics that it had back in 2019. I think is when I got it. Is when it was open. So if you have your favorites, I'm not going to worry about it with that Old Forester 100. But if you have your favorites and it gets down to bottle, transfer it over to something like this. It'll keep quite a bit longer, just like this as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. You got any more off the top of your head?
No.
Because I only have one more.
All right.
Very quickly. We talked about this earlier, but it's been a little while ago, and so everybody knows. I just still get questions about why don't we cleanse our palate in between each taste when we're out of wine. Yeah, and we touched on it a little bit before. Me personally, I think it's an individual thing. I really, really do. I've tried it each way, every way I can think of. I had a bad experience during our last year's Bourbon Madness tournament where I was taking too much water, and it seemed to me like my palate was washed out.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that spicy dinner one that you did.
No, that's another bad one. but then that does. He's right though. What you eat, everything influences your taste when it comes to bourbon. But anyways, as far as cleansing of the palate, I felt that it was getting washed out. So I only take sips of water when I absolutely feel my palate needs the adjustment. Yeah. If you noticed, I don't know if you noticed at all, but I will drink more when we're tasting cask strength or barrel proof.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
And, so I feel like it, if I get a 2 or 3 sips of the cask strength or barrel proof in a row without cleansing the palate, it will get a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're drinking 90 proofers. I mean, I can go through the whole show without even a sip of water. And I'll do that. If I'm on a roll and I'm really sensing flavors, it's a good day, You know, and you all had that. You have good days, bad days on everything. And if I feel I'm having a good day behind this camera tasting certain whiskeys and bourbons, especially on a blind, I'm not going to mess with the water. I'm going to keep going best I can.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do, but that's what I do.
I very rarely, and if we're doing something like a live show or something where we're going to taste cask strength bourbons or whiskeys or whatever, I try to eat a good amount before, not like gorge myself, but I try to make sure that I feel full so that it doesn't hit me as hard as it would on maybe an empty stomach. So maybe that might affect my palate in some ways, but rarely do I drink water during a blind or really whatever. I found that for me, it kind of washes flavors away for me, and I can't fully appreciate the different flavor profiles, the different things that I'm tasting, and that's my palate. Your palate might differ, or whoever you're talking to or working with or tasting with, their palate might be completely different. But
do what works best for you.
Yeah,
if taking a sip of water and refreshing before each sip works best for you, more part that's nothing wrong with that at all. I just think it's an individual choice.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's it. Anything else?
No.
All right. If you have any other questions that you don't think we covered during this video, feel free to let us know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer whatever I can to the best of my ability. I hope this was a little bit instructional, but mostly just helpful. So, as always, we ask you to please drink responsibly, and don't miss us. Go ahead.
We have an absolute banger of a bottle review coming out. This is coming out Friday. So, a bottle review on Monday. It's allocated. It's Buffalo Trace. Don't miss it. It's going to be a good one.
Then Wednesday, right after that, we're going to do a Christmas show, and I'm going to see if I can dress as Santa and Trent can beat an elf.
All right, this is the first I'm hearing of that, so it might happen, it might not, but
just kidding.
We have a lot of cool stuff coming up in December. So don't miss it.
All right. As always, please drink responsibly. It's very important to us. You are very important to us. Hey, we'll see you next time. And I don't know what I'm going to say after that. And we'll see you next time, right down here with Trent and I, with a Mac Daddy Buffalo Trace bottle in a good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.